In this episode, you are going to meet Jemima Godsall. She's a Clarity Breathwork practitioner who came to breathwork as part of healing from serious drug addiction. In this episode, we're going to be talking about some pretty serious subjects like suicide and drug use, and there is some swearing. So please be advised that this is not a gentle episode for your ears and heart. If you do wish to continue to listen on to Jemima's great story of healing, then please continue and discover about how breathwork can support your healing, to discover the greater trust that there is in life, and how to connect with your own rhythm and find your flow to grow into the most beautiful life that is available here for you. So I'm very pleased to be welcoming in Jemima Godsall to the interview and sharing and connecting with our community this month. She is a Clarity Breathwork practitioner, a Pilates instructor, a meditation teacher, and oh my God, so many other beautiful modalities that she and I overlap with. It shows the importance of many of these modalities, right, as part of our healing journey. And I would love to add in, I think both of us have had our mental health challenges. So I think that's also how these are different tools to help us ground into reality away from unstable mental health. And so Jemima is here very open-heartedly to share her story of how she moved through her journey towards a more balanced and well life. And I'm going to ask Jemima to start with a little bit of just an intro of what happened to you before you discovered the first healing modality that you discovered.
Thank you, Nid. Thank you for this opportunity to speak about my adventure to the Hope Land, you know. My story, wow, it's loaded, but I'll go sort of backwards. I attempted suicide in 2019, at the end of 2019, after a 30-year drug addiction with methamphetamine and heroin, 30 plus years. But I was really using needles a lot of the time, particularly the last 10 years of my addiction. So it was very, very hardcore. I was in a 15-year abusive marriage, and we were just killing each other. Like, it was just a horrible, horrible situation. I'd lost contact with my friends and my family. We had removed ourselves pretty much to isolate because we were using so many drugs. And then this led to 2019. My husband and I, my ex-husband and I, had a major blowout, and he just ran off. And to this day, I still don't know where he is. And I begged him to, come and find me and we can work this out. But then he got again to come and terrorize me. So there was this stalking going on for 6 weeks before I left San Francisco. I was in San Francisco, California, and I was being gang bullied by a street gang. They'd follow me to work. They'd torment me. They'd be on the top roof, hollering things down to my apartment, which is on the top roof. And it was just a chaotic time. And I was also using so severely. I was paranoid induced. It was like everything was amplified. Then one day towards the end, one of the gang members came up with a gun and said, "You're going to leave in a body bag or you're going to leave." And I was like, and they were for real. And I thought, oh my God, this is like my life. So I grabbed a car, rented a car, grabbed my 2 cats, packed everything that I could, and I drove. And I didn't know where I was driving to. And I just ended up in Washington. I remember it was the longest drive, like days and days and days. And it was just so like not here. So it's such in a different realm of experiencing trauma. And I ended up in Washington, and I didn't know what to do. I was like, I don't know what to do. I didn't have a husband. This was using the drugs. Like, what just happened? I was just stalked. All these things came in that I didn't know how to handle. And I really had no reason to live, I thought. And so I attempted suicide. I was using so many drugs then. I had enough heroin for 10 people because I had to have a lot. And I wanted out. And look at me, I am here. Now, I woke up with my cat on my chest, and I know he was breathing life into me. I've got a cat tattoo here, my beautiful one. Spaz is his name. Aww. And I know that he was breathing life into me. And I know that I was divinely guided to stay here, to find my way, to see the gift it is to be here with life, to live, and find a modality that I'm meant to bring to the world, which is breathwork. So it was a horrible way and hard way to get here, but it's been, the journey since then has been a real gift to honor life, to honor the life that I can now create for myself.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jemima. That's a horrific pile of circumstances to have to layer on yourself, right? And would you agree that the universe gives us the sign of like a feather that you're in the wrong direction, and then a brick, and then a truck, and that was kind of your truck realization?
Oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, if I didn't get the gun pulled on me. I was so stubborn, and I believed in marriage being forever. My parents are always married, and I thought that we'll work through it. I mean, I was pretty blind to this because I was naive, I think, very naive to it. And so, yeah, there were so many signs I look back on now, so many signs since the day we got married. You know, I mean, 15 years marriage. And I was using drugs before then, but not as severely. But definitely so many signs. And this gun against saying you're going to be in a body bag or out of here was like, oh my God. And if that didn't happen, I would have been there stalking my ex-husband, trying to find him, trying to make it work. And it's just amazing the way the angels went, okay, she's not going to move. What are we going to do? Like, we're going to have to threaten her life. Let's just threaten her life. And it was amazing. And it was the most fearful moment in my life. I remember just trembling, going, oh, this is for real. This is like for real. Yeah. And not knowing what to do and just thinking, and automatically I went into survival mode. I rented a car, got the cats, packed everything up and just ran. So it was the biggest gift ever. The most traumatic moment, the most frightening moment in my life was the biggest gift ever. And I know it was divinely guided because I was a stubborn person.
Yeah, beautiful. And it's really beautiful. Also, you did have the resourcefulness, right, to get a car and to get away from the physical place, right, which often we don't always know that the physical place that we're in is a huge part of why we're stuck, right, and that we actually have to physically leave a place in order to be able to allow in whatever the opportunity is that's there for us to help us have hope to step away. And, you know, that's not the same. Some people it's to stay and be somewhere and move through that. But sometimes when we're really stubborn, you know, when you have that really strong digging in, actually you have to extricate yourself to be able to get that perspective. So that's really, really amazing and such deep inner strength, right, that you can
but also such hugely divinely guided. I was so blessed. I mean, I felt like I had, when I look back now, I feel like there was a massive amount of angelic energy around me, just woofing me, like trying to say, just go there, just get the car. I didn't even know how was I thinking straight. I don't know how I was thinking straight to get a car, to get the cats to leave. I mean, I was just out. So I think it was really, I was helped a lot along the way to save my life. And I still wasn't in that because then I attempted suicide. So it was still like, I thought it was just absolutely crazy and chaotic, and it was coming to the end of my life. There's no point to anything. So, And as you said, the relocation, so important too. I mean, as I said, I don't know how I ended up in Washington, but I had to leave. I had to leave for any of it to stop, for me to stop my drugs. I mean, my drug dealer was there, and it just, the whole thing is just, I see the map of it, and it's beautifully, tragically mapped out, divinely timed. It's amazing. And so now I have all faith in divine intervention, divine timing.
It is often that thing, isn't it, where we have to fully surrender and give up and really be like, I am at a complete loss with who I am, that I have any way out. Like, it's that, and it is a complete surrender of the ego, which is what your suicide attempt was like, actually this version of Jemima doesn't know what she's doing, and like, I give her up. And your cats knew how to hold you through that, which is just phenomenal. I mean, animals are so gifted, right?
I saw them and I was like, what have I done? That was the first thing I thought, and I jumped up, and I don't even know how I didn't fall down. I don't know how any of this happened. And I took care of the cats, and suddenly I like sat down going, hang on, what the hell's going on? Like, I'm actually here. And then I had to just stop and start to go, wow, how is this possible? How is this possible? And so then things changed.
And it's beautiful because that love of your cats obviously like brought you back in, like really grounded you back into your body and into this world, right? Because you love them and you put them at that priority. That care pulled you forwards. And like, you know, to me, that's just that love and grace that flows through the universe, that we all, if we allow ourselves to feel it, it comes through and it saves us and it saves everything around us, and we can really let ourselves. So, you know, in your surrendered state, that's what pulled you forwards. So that's really, really, really wonderful kind of demonstration of how the physical reality like conveys like the beauty of grace and surrender in that process. So that's a really beautiful story. Thank you, Jemima.
Thank you. I haven't seen it like that before.
I'm often told I'm a person who puts a good positive turnaround on things, and I think it comes from my brain injury of having to learn to find something positive to say about everything that in my life had fallen away at the time. And so I had to very proactively kind of learn to seek like what's the real beauty behind things, what's the real goodness that's flowing through, because similar, otherwise it would have been a much darker journey and I wouldn't have got to this place. I would have continued on the mental health journey I was on. And so, it's like those moments where we have to really pull something different from ourselves. And so what was it after that moment that took you? Was it to breathwork first of all?
Well, yeah, it was actually, ironically, I still have some drugs left. So it actually took me 3 more months to sort of work my way back to sobriety. And I didn't, because I didn't expect to be alive. So I didn't really know what to do. I was like, kind of like just throwing eggs up in the air and seeing where they land. And I was I was really in a twilight zone for the 3 months, just sort of walking around, not sure what to do, going Washington, what's in Washington, where am I? And then finishing my drugs. And my birthday, 26th of February, which is 3 months later, I said, I'm going to just stop. I'm going to stop drugs. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to stop. And because I also ran out, and I didn't know anyone in Washington. And so I thought this is going to be great. Then a week into it, 2 weeks into it, I'm like, I DT by myself. I mean, I do not recommend that to anybody. Anybody, please don't do it, because it is like, this is a 30-year drug addiction and my body was just, but I was once again blessed by the universe. So held and so supported. And I wasn't scared. It was quite weird. I wasn't scared about it at all. I think no one could be scared after surviving that suicide attempt. Like, I've got to be here for some reason. That was sort of my thinking, like, this has got to be done. But then after 3 weeks of cleaning up, I started to go, oh my God, I'm getting the bug for the drugs. What do I do? And then COVID isolation hit March 20. And then we were locked in. And this is where it all began for me. I'm sorry if anyone lost anyone out there, because I know it was a hard time for a lot of us. But for me, it was a saving grace. I was forced to stay inside with my 2 cats. I didn't know Washington. I didn't have anything to do. And so I was like, oh my God, here I go. We have to like face me. Hello. And so this is when I discovered, I went on Meetup and I found all these free things, sound healing, breath work, all these amazing tools that were natural energy tools, like healing tools. And my first breathwork session, I remember it blew me away. And I had 30 years of talk therapy, nothing compared to this one breathwork session. And I was like, oh my God. And it was from within me. I've been using everything externally, doctors, drugs, everything outside of me. Here I am going within me. And I went to this place where I was like, oh, I didn't even know. And I got angel bumps. And I was like just so overwhelmed. And I was so excited. I thought, oh my God, I did this. I brought me here. No drugs, no nothing. And it was like from then on, I was like every day, breath work and the sound healing as well, meditation. I got back into this. And I really learnt who I was again. Like it had been many, 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 many years that I was in oblivion. I was raped when I was 12. And this is where it all began, way back when I was 12. So pretty much I hadn't even stepped into who I really was, because I was continuing just to destroy myself. So it was a really exciting time. Like I booked classes when we were in isolation from 7 a.m. to like 9 p.m. every day. I loved it. Every hour I was doing something and just class, and meeting all these people around the world. Some of them were sad because of people going through COVID on the negative side. And I'm there trying to give hope, going, this is amazing, it's great, we can do this. And like trying to give people hope and enlightenment. In the meantime, I'm just going, wow, what a gift. And then it continued going for 8 months. And then after 8 months, I said to the universe, what do I do? What am I meant to do here, angels? And I had this major download, like poof, lightning bolt. And they said, you're going on a road trip across America, raising awareness for suicide prevention. And I was like, okay. And I phoned my mum in Australia and I said, Mum, apparently I'm going on a road trip. And she's like, you don't even have a car. And I was like, I know, I'm going to get one somehow. And we were laughing, thinking, this was not me. I did not choose this. I didn't plan. I was thinking maybe I'd move somewhere else in Washington. And so that next day I literally went and got a car. By the end of the week, I packed everything up again and started on the road interviewing people about their healing tools, such as sound work, meditation, breath work, all of these modalities that are out there for us to heal from, and how it helped me come out of my suicide phase and really save my life. And so it was incredible. It was just, and here I am now. Like, it's amazing. The journey, it's been pushing me there. Like, I haven't chosen a lot of the things, but it's beautiful. Like, it's perfect. And where I've gone and how I've been able to meet people and go around America, it's been profound. And in the meantime, I'm increasing my awareness with the magic, the gift of these tools. And now I'm a practitioner with breathwork, and I'm here to bring it to the world. I think it's just one of the most powerful tools of healing. And
Yeah, beautiful. Oh, I love your enthusiasm and the amount of energy that you managed to have, like having detox, like going through that detox. I mean, oh my God. And like, but it's amazing how much energy it gave you, right? To then go off and learn all these things and experience them and let in the healing, like just the amount of energy. That's a huge, rapid shift. You know, not everyone can do that with stability. So, you know, it's really, really, you know, a lot of that strength that I think you can see in like what kept you probably as a drug addict for so long and got you through. Like, there's always a stubbornness and a strength in being such a hardcore addict, right? That is also, when you turn it into healing, is the same. It's exactly the same. You just got to flip it the other way, and then you can do the same. You can use all of that strength and energy that you had, but to turn yourself around and then to be able to put that into supporting others. And so you can really feel that in your journey and in the way that you've held yourself through it. And I just think, you know, that's just huge credit to you, because it's not easy to do that for yourself, and when you don't have other people around to do it for. Like, many people will be saying, you know, I need to do it for so and so, or I need to do it for this person, you know. And to really do that for yourself, it shows like a very high level of self-love that you started pulling in for yourself, right? And maybe that comes from just saying, I just trust, right? And I fully, you know, I'm laughing when you're saying some of these things, because I totally recognize that part of, you know, like, I wouldn't choose this, but like the universe keeps going, yep, this direction, you know. And people say to me like, wow, you created such the perfect life, Nid. And I'm like, yeah, but if I'd have had the choice, I would have gone back to a normal full-time job, like, and tried to get back to lawyering. I wouldn't have chosen to do what I do. I wouldn't be choosing a spiritual business as what I teach, you know, and all these things. But the universe has very clearly shown me the same as you. Like, it's like, if I try and do the other thing, the universe just goes, yep, this is going to be really crappy. And all I've learned is to go, oh, that feels good. That feels really crap. And then I try and follow what feels, you know, what I'm like, okay, well, this gives more energy. This opens things up. This moves me forwards. And then, yes, those signs get clearer, right? Of like, just take a bag and go. You know, and similar to you, like, I just got a backpack. I didn't even pay for my flight. My dad was like, we're going to go on holiday to Costa Rica. And I just said, can I just change my flight on the return? And then I just kept saying to people, I'm going to come back later. I'm going to come back later. I'm going to come back later, until I just didn't go back. And so that was my exit strategy. So, you know, it's like, it's that piece though, isn't it? Where sometimes we're just told, get out, go, get on the move, you know, and see what happens. And it's only because you know you're being guided, and like there's this part of you that can feel the fear, but also we feel that like, oh, but there's good stuff, and I'm finding these amazing modalities, and they support me, and so they can hold me as I go through whatever the adventures are that are going to show up, right?
And so you start to get used to that fear of, I don't know, this is my choice. And it changes into that excitement, because the the experience usually becomes something that you can trust, that you trust that you're being guided there the right way. And it does. I find some of these miracles have happened over this last 4 years. I'm like, where I landed, I was like, that's amazing. How the hell did I get here? Like, thank you. I love you. You know, like, it's amazing. And I surrender. I mean, the human ego, it's hard to surrender. We get in our own way. But generally, when I remember this whole deal with myself and the angels and saying, this is for life, my life is for my life, to surrender and trust that it is divinely guided.
I sense from you that piece also of like, you know, it's like that real trust in the support of things working out for you, as opposed to things being against you. So, you know, we often, it's like, I have to be in control to ensure that things don't go against me, is what we get stuck in with the ego, right? And so we do whatever we need to do to like be in our degree of control. And that can be, and addiction's a great form of control, right? Because it's a repetitive behavior and thought process. And so it feels really beautifully controlled because we can predict it. And I actually found understanding addiction was partly what helped me rebuild my ability to focus after my brain injury, because I'd gone into attention deficit from my brain injury. And so actually like repeated cycles and patterns were actually really beneficial to help us learn things. But then we have to let go of that, right? And actually allow that lack of attention to drop into awareness. And then that between the two, there's this beautiful dance that guides us when we drop both. But they're also really useful tools of the way the mind works in guiding our journey of healing. And so for you, like dropping that control of the way in which your mind needed and opening yourself up. And it makes me also really sense for you like that following without really having to have too much of a vision. Like you're not kind of going, I must do this and this is how it has to go. And that's the like, you know, it's like some people can be so very controlling again about what they're creating. And so your journey in the last 4 years sounds like it's been very flowing and following those moments of inspiration.
It's kept me focused on like breath work. I was a participant. I never thought I'd never even came to my mind to be a practitioner. And of course I want to be a practitioner. I didn't even think about that, you know, but just the flow to it. And then I was like, oh yeah, I can become a practitioner. Oh my God, this is amazing. And then I didn't even realize that the two, Dana and Ashana from Clarity Breathwork, I didn't even realize they were the first breathwork session I went to. And I was like, oh my God, you guys are the first ones I went to. It's like changed my life. Oh my God, it's amazing. Like from 180 back around, and I was like, this is just beautiful. And now I'm going to be a practitioner. You're going to take me on. I am yours. I'm here. And it's been in flow. I kept my focus on bringing breathwork to the world. And however that's coming out right now, it is, I'm doing online sessions, private and group, and also I have a community now in Bisbee where I live. We get together every full moon, new moon. Next year I'm going to London to meet with Amelia to do a session, and there's some things that are just slowly starting to get, and I'm not worried about the pace of it. Of course my ego wants to now because I'm excited, but I'm thinking this is just is the way it's coming out is beautiful. I got to go to Bali recently and be an assistant there, and things are just like wow. And so long as I keep focused on what my gift is, what my modality is, what I'm meant to be, why my purpose, why am I here still, then it's all going to work out. And I know I've got a purpose, with breathwork being the tool that helped me just get way out of my own way and surrender to the gift of life.
And it is that piece, I think, of staying focused on what brings that love through and allows grace to flow, right? Like when we find the things, and it, you know, for me, it's changed over the years I say it's changed over the years. Like my intention was just to share the modalities that help me heal. And, you know, if there was ever a lesson, it's to share it, because that's the only thing that I could do to help myself, like, get through my journey. And so, you know, that's why I began sharing yoga nidras for free, because I was like, well, this is just an important tool for retraining the mind, that it can rest and not be in that state that it needs to constantly be in, that it's allowed to just listen and receive, and that the body can feel that. And for me, that was the first time I ever really just stopped being so driven. And then that's always been the same. And like some modalities, you know, you're like, I'll do this for free, and other things it's like, nah, this one the exchange needs to be slightly different. And so I think it all still comes from the heart. It all still comes from that place, doesn't it? Where we're like, oh, this needs to be out in the world. We need to have people accessing it. But but the way in which they'll value it has to be in a different way. And sometimes, you know, it's like the collaborations come through and the business grows and evolves in the way that supports you best. But yeah, like you say, it's like you want to rush and be like, see it all happening. And then you have to kind of go, oh, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Like,
so that's also the city girl in me. I'm now living in the desert. I grew up in the city. I went to the city, New York City for 15 years. I mean, all this city life. And then I flipped my life to save my life. I had to flip it. I had to choose to go, okay, I can't be in the city because I don't want to risk ever the temptation. There's no point. If I can be somewhere else, why not? So I really flipped my life. And that's the energy of the city person now. But also, as you said, the control of the drug addiction, everything. I was a functioning addict, by the way. I worked at UCSF and Active Sports Club while I was doing my drugs. I used to shoot up before spin class, go in, nearly die, come out, shoot up, go to class. I did 30 classes a week. Stupid, crazy. I mean, how am I alive, right? I know how. I mean, absolutely wild to think this. And I had to keep doing the drugs because I had to keep the work, because I had to keep the drugs, just this vicious circle. But that energy is the same energy now put into something constructive, but I've also got to just relax, take the pressure off, take the stress off it all. It's meant to be beautiful. It's not meant to be that hard.
You know, like we each have our own innate rhythm that then obviously works with the rhythm of the universe and of Earth, right? So there's lots of different rhythms happening at different times. And, you know, where we grow up gives us a load of rhythms that we have to learn from. You know, the city is a good place to learn some interesting rhythms, right? and then it's kind of like you say, like, you know, it's like, actually, I don't need to live in a city. That's not my rhythm. Like for me, it was, I always knew from childhood, my rhythm of the UK was definitely not where I was supposed to be. And I really struggled finding a place in the US because my dad's American. Like, where could I live in the US that also had that vibe? And the only one that worked for me was Hawaii. So it's funny I end up in Australia, which is definitely, and you know, you're Australian. I find Australia is even slower. Like it doesn't have...
Okay,
I mean, Sydney obviously is different.
I haven't been there for years. But yeah.
Sydney is definitely slower than London. Oh right. My God.
Yeah.
Even I remember when I lived in, when I worked in New York, I was like, wow, people walk so slow here. I was like, New Yorkers are slow. Like after working in London, I was like, yeah, New Yorkers are really slow. DC, I was like, man, you guys are slow as well. Like it was so funny. So like, you know, that relativity of city life, like I had definitely been really ramped up. And so I find with Australia, there's more nature, there's more access to nature, even here in the city. So like for me, just the fact that I'm a 7-minute walk from the beach, like that helps my rhythm. And similar to you, I had to do years of sitting in mountains and remote places to really disconnect and find my rhythm. And then when I came back to the city, it was like, oh my God, how do I do this? Right. And reintegrating and landing back in, and how can I maintain my own rhythm within this city environment? And so I feel like we each have to work that out. And so, yeah, like taking yourself off, maybe it's that you never should go back to the city because you're really good, you know, and you're supposed to be out in the desert, which is just like, oh, desert's stunning, right? So it's so important, right, that we find our rhythm, because then you flow with life, which is what you're doing so beautifully, right?
I used to be afraid of the silence. You know, I used to be afraid of hearing my voice, of hearing my inner voice, of hearing anything. I was just scared, and I'm so not scared anymore. I'm not in a place. I like to hear my downloads. I like to hear my inner voice. I like to hear guides and spirits and animal spirits and all that sort of stuff. It's so in tune. And and I do have the blessed choice of, I don't have to go back to the city ever, which is a really great, beautiful choice that I can have. But you can make that choice. Like, and thank God, I have to say thank God for Zoom, because it keeps us in contact with the bigger world, the greater world, you know, really it does. And that's a huge gift. Even if the internet is not so good, it's still the ability to get out there. And I mean, my breathwork ceremonies on the weekends are international, and it's beautiful all around the world. It's like, this is just a beautiful way to get everyone together still. But I don't have to be in the city. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about the fear of my own parts that I'm still quite wounded with. I'm only recovered for 4 years. I'm only had drugs for 4.5 years now. So I've still got to be really tender and remind myself this has been a really quick recovery. Yeah. But I'm still an addict, and I'm still very, very raw, and I've still got these things that I've got to learn about my addiction. And being amongst the city, I don't need to put myself in that at all, because it's just for fear of maybe something may trigger me, and I don't need that right now. I'm not strong enough to deal with that right now.
I would be just from my own experience, I would be kinder than even that, and just be like, it's not a fear, it's just sensible. Right? Like, it's just sensible. Why expose yourself to like, you know, all of those old triggers? Like, you don't need to, you know, we need to do whatever healing we can in the places that make us feel safe. And then we can, you know, you came back and visited Sydney recently, you know, so you can come back and you can visit, and in that process, you know, little things come up and trigger you, right? And then you go and you process it and you leave it, and then, you know, and you can choose the frequency. Again, it's your rhythm, right? It's your frequency of when you go and test yourself in the city and see the strength that you've got now from where you were, and be like, okay, well, those are the bits of work I've now got to do next. You know, so it's like, it's like you can go and do those little bits because they help give you the triggers of where you got to heal more next. But you know, it's not a fear. It's actually just really sensible and really practical.
Scared of it, you're like, it's kind of like mean to me. So sensible is beautiful work, 'cause it's true. It's just being sensible. It's realistic, and it does give me the time and space to heal when I'm ready to be able to heal. So thank you. I'll take it.
Yeah, and it shows the wisdom that you've got. I mean, like, the amount that you've shifted in 4 years is so inspiring, and it's such a huge shift. And for people who have got addictions and have also mental health, you know, I mean, you know, both of us have, I guess, successful suicide attempts, because neither of us actually left, and we both like turned our lives around. So I would say they're probably successful, you know, like, because they've really turned our lives around. And I mean, mine was a lot younger, and there was a much longer mental health story that went before that I actually turned my life around, but it kept me here. And you know, what we do with those though is show that to other people that there really is hope, and that there are ways forwards. And maybe not everything that we do is going to help someone. I do feel that Clarity Breathwork in particular is, and I think you probably feel the same, is one of the most powerful ones, because it helps us be in control of our own ability to surrender and let grace in. And when that flow of love comes, right, that's when we can make those changes. And it meets you with just where you're at today. It doesn't take you any further than what you're ready for, which is so key.
And yeah, it's totally from within. Like, it's our breath. Oh my God, you know, who'd have thunk? And we forget about our breath, the genius of our breath, it's our life force. We come in with it, we go out with it. It should be our best friend, you know, and to be able to have this modality that comes from within, and the breath it is the medicine. It takes you where you need to go. Some days you just go into meditation. That's all that you can handle that day. And you may be there going, I can't wait to go deep. And the breath's like, no, not today. And other days you're like, oh my God, I just want to have a little sleep. And then it goes, pooh, right in there. It's like amazing how you just go, wow, that's crazy. I just got angel bumps again. And it's just, it's the power of the breath to guide you to where you're meant to go. And surrendering, as you said, like being able to surrender to trusting that the breath will take you where the healing is for that day.
Yeah. Exactly. And, you know, it's like in our mind, we can go in, and I don't know about you, but I don't really go into a breathwork with much of an intention, because I'm like, I think I tried it the first couple of times, and then I realized that intentions are just my mind making up stuff, right? Like, my breath knows what's needed. And like you say, like, there are times when I do it and I'm like, did I almost fall asleep? But I kind of know I didn't. And then there's other times where, like, I can't even tell you the experiences and the level of the experiences that I've had that have like been so much more than taking plant medicine even. So, you know, it's like, and that's what I see from like my clients who come in who do plant medicine. They'll like open their eyes and they'll be like, did that just happen with only my breath? And you can kind of go, yeah, like you were ready for that, you know. But then there are other times when they're like kind of like, oh, not much happened. I feel like I had a really good restorative rest. And it's like, perfect. You know, that's what you're obviously needing to give yourself right now. And so it's just, that's what I love, is it really meets us. And it's in your rhythm, in your timing. It's not pushing you, right? And so like you're ready for it, and you're making all these changes, and you've moved really quickly through your healing by using your breath, which is just phenomenal. So, you know, it just goes to show how quickly and how far you can go.
So it is a miracle. I'm still overwhelmed with how the magic of it. And now I do believe in magic. I do believe in gifts. I do believe in all these things where I was never believing in because I was in such a dark hole for so many years. And it's beautiful. And life is life. It still has ups and downs. I'm not saying everything's like, you know, fairy dust and things, but it's the magic behind my survival is really a blessing, and I'm very much held by a lot of angels, and I feel that energy around me, and I've got to trust in it. And my promise was for the survival to make the most of my life, to make the best of my life, and to help other people with their life, and to give them hope. I mean, 30 years drug addiction, shooting up to the worst. And you can turn it around, and you can end up smiling, and you can end up trusting people again. You can end up having beautiful relationships with people again. Like, these things can happen when you think there is no way out and it's never going to happen to you. It can. And I don't know how to say anything, but just start to trust, start to reach out, reach up, reach into somebody, your God, your angels, your guides, whoever it may be, and just find that deep connection, because we are not alone. We are definitely not alone.
Yeah.
And definitely. You will find your way out, believe. Reach out to people like us, you know, like we're here for you.
And I have one question for you, actually, and this is like my personal intrigue, just before we finish, and it's probably one of those really, like, I should have asked this earlier, questions. So I have had, so I allow, in Australia, we have a disability service kind of piece where I can allow, and I'm certified to allow people to come to, like, my breathwork ceremonies and to work with people who are on that scheme. And one of the clients I had has had lots of brain injuries and still takes heroin. And so who knows whether or not she's been sober when she's come to a breathwork. And so that's been really interesting for me in terms of, like, not knowing necessarily how sober she is in the breathwork, but also, like, seeing the fear, right, of kind of coming into feeling in breathwork. So just as a question, like, because obviously if you want to, in that transition of giving someone hope who might still be using but is trying to work out how to come off it, you know, safely and with a supportive community, like, if someone coming into breathwork but still wanted to take, you know, obviously I know you would say try not to take anything and go into it sober, but it was more her fear, like seeing the fear of coming into the body. Like, is there anything you wanted to say to that fear for someone who's a user?
Gosh, the fear is there because of the fear of feelings. The reason we take drugs is to take us out of the feelings. And I'm sorry, this is going to be harsh, and I'm a bit of a bitch when it comes like this, because you got to go through it. You got to feel, you're going to have to go through the darkness, like go through not only the physical withdrawal, but you're going to have to go through the darkness, but you're going to come out of it. Like, there's no way that you're going to last. It may be a day, maybe a month, maybe continuous off and on, but you're going to have to go through it. You have to feel it and experience it to then let it go. Now, it could be one breathwork session that can let a whole lot of stuff go, but that fear is internal. It's that internal thing. It stops us from doing everything. If you want to recover, you got to get off the drugs, and you got to feel the shit that you took, why you took the drugs in the first place. Go through that rape, go through that abuse, feel it, and you're not there anymore. It's not real anymore, but you got to feel that the body remembers. You got to feel it in your body and then expel it, like dance it out, static dance, breath work, jumping jacks, whatever it may be. But I'm sorry, the fact is, to heal, we need to feel it to then be able to release it. It's a process, and it's hard. It's not easy. There's no easy way out of it. And the beautiful thing is if you have a community, if you have help, you've got people around you, you can keep on keeping on. And if you fuck up, you can start again tomorrow. It's okay. Don't think like, oh my God, it's like a diet. Oh my God, I had one piece of chocolate. May as well eat the whole block. It's like, no, you don't have to. You can start again tomorrow. You know what I mean? So it's the whole thing about just being kind and gentle, but it's really when you have to become your best friend and hold your hand and go, we're going to go through some tough stuff right now, and I'm ready to get sober, so I'm going to support you, oh wounded one, while we go through this. I am ready, and I'm going to hold you, and try and team up with yourself and move through it, but it's not easy. It's not easy. But it's beautiful when you get out the other side. Yay! It's okay when you do. You can get out the other side, you know.
It's definitely possible. Oh, thank you so much, Jemima. So you've got your Moon Breathworks and the online one that you do, and you do privates. Is there anything else you want to let people know? And obviously I'll pop your website down underneath the show notes for anyone who wants to connect with you, who feels like, that would be really supportive for them, especially with your experience, to help them through what they're transitioning through. But is there anything else you want to share about your work and your offerings that would support people at this time?
Yeah, I really am focusing on people with addictions, obviously. It really is one of my fortes, and it can be sex addiction, gambling, any addiction, just the addiction word. Because I'm kind of fierce in the way I approach things. I'm a little bit tough, so I will keep you in line, but I have a massive heart, and I will never judge you. Absolutely no judgments, because we can't go anywhere. It's no point to judge anybody about anything, what we've done. That's a waste of energy. So I'm open-hearted. You can do a direct email to me. My name's Jemima Godsall. On the screen you'll see, or Nid will write it, and it's jemimagodsall@gmail.com. From all around the world, just reach out. I'm here for you to help you take the first steps into healing, getting out of the trapped world of drug addiction or addiction, whatever it may be, and rediscovering the beautiful self you are, like why we're here on this earth. What is your purpose on this earth?
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Jemima, for supporting people through something that's so challenging, and also just such an inspiration to hear just a fraction of your story and what you've been through. So thank you so much for sharing it so openly and honestly, and also your vulnerability about you're only 4 years in and there's still more healing for you. And I think it's really important that we honor that we're not perfect and fixed and complete, and that it's a process, because it isn't a magic pill, but breathwork most definitely is magic. Yeah.
Well, it is a process, and I'm far beyond healed. I am a wounded, healing person who's continued to do work every day and show up for my life, and so just believe you can, find that faith in yourself, find the connection to the divine and within your heart, and trust that you can. Because you can, we all can. If I can, you can. Trust me. Trust me, if I can, you can.
Just take a chance, right? It's like you don't have to believe it. You don't have to think it's going to work. You just have to be open. Like, the most important thing that we can ever do is just be open to something completely different that we can't imagine, right? And that can bring you trust. It can bring you whatever it is that is creating your addiction, that's stopping you, or whatever else it is that might be going on in your life. I mean, most of us are addicted in some way.
There are so many different breathworks out there. Just try one, try another, and just see what happens to you and find your niche.
But one thing I am going to honour Clarity Breathwork for is it's a very trauma-informed training. And I know that's why practitioners refer clients to me, is because that's a key part of our training and work, at least, is to be trauma-informed and supportive of that, and we have a community of practitioners that can help each other through those kind of questions and concerns if we're not feeling like we have all of that skill set in our journey of facilitating. And so just really want to honour that side of it, because obviously trauma is its own thing, and I always encourage my clients who have trauma to have therapists, qualified certified therapists that are supporting them alongside the breath work, so that we can really make those shifts in a very full way.
Yay, clarity.
Yay. All right, my love. Well, thank you ever so much for your time, Jemima. The internet worked so well for us. It was divinely timed and perfect to happen. Thank you ever so much. And I'm so excited to continue to see your healing and your practitioner journey and all the goodies and goodness that you're bringing into the world. You're such a radiant being. So thank you so much for agreeing to come on to the podcast, and maybe we'll see you again in the future.